This is Shiva Rajaya from vitalcoaching.com. We're talking about breakups for men, and the topic for this video is what if you still have to interact with her, with your ex. There are lots of situations where you will be exposed to your ex's presence in different ways. This can happen, for instance, if you work together, if you work for the same company, or if you have a business together. It can happen if you have kids, children together. It can happen if you still own a house together and you have to somehow arrange papers or even keep on owning that house. It happens if you are neighbors. It happens if you are in the same social circle, or if you have the same kind of hobbies or activities that bring you back to interact together. And so there is a very simple tactic or a very simple strategy that I want to share with you in to optimize or to harmonize the way you communicate with her. This is very simple. It is diplomacy and respect. Okay, that's it. It's very simple. Diplomacy and respect. What does that mean? It means that when you interact with her, you can relate to her from a place of just being respectful. You don't have to be overly kind. You don't have to build up an active friendship with her. You don't have to start engaging in deep feeling conversations. You don't have to talk about your past relationship. You don't have to process with her. And you don't need to completely shut down either. You don't have to ignore her. So sometimes there are going to be moments where you are so tense and so angry that you just, you want to get her out of your field. And so you might be almost like ignoring her, like pretending she's not there. And that's okay for a while. On the long term, you will notice that if you stay in this anger mode, in this, every time you see her, in this tension and this contraction mode, then what it's going to do is that it creates a certain tension in your system that is not very healthy on the long term. Because every time you see her, you are going to be contracting, you are going to be holding back your natural flow. And so that's not necessarily useful to stay there on the long term. What works really on the long term is to be in a place where you can relate to her from a place of, calmness and relaxation, that you are in your power, that you are in your presence, and that you are communicating with her not from a place of nastiness or aggressive or wanting to trigger fights or wanting to get back to her, wanting to be vindictive. All those are like aggressive energies, and this is the last thing you want. What you want is to be from a place where there is a certain form of neutrality in your energy. You communicate to her a little bit as if she was a stranger, as if it was somebody that you just met. And from that place you don't engage, you don't invest your time and your energy into her, but you communicate from a place of respect. And this is especially important if you have, for instance, to work together, or if you have children together, because those are situations where you will need to collaborate in some form, right? And so if you need to be in that space, you don't want to sabotage, the workspace, for instance. You don't want to sabotage the security and safety of your children just to get back to her in vindictive ways. And the fact that you are respectful and kind and simply gentle or diplomatic doesn't mean that she's going to make the same choice. It's possible that she's going to be communicating to you from a different place. But what you have to do right now is take responsibility for your own choices. And on the long term, communicating from a place of respect, clarity, kindness is probably the tactic or the strategy or the attitude which is the most sustainable on the long term. Again, the original stages, you might be a little bit contracted the first month, maybe after breakup, especially if it was a breakup that was a little bit nasty, a little bit aggressive. If you had big fights, maybe you need to recover your power. First, rebuild your energy, but then after a while, you'll notice that you can enter into a flow where basically respect and diplomacy, this is what you want to engage. That means also that you don't want to engage into too deep conversations when you see her. Keep it light, keep it casual, keep it, small talk, instead of going into processing instead of revealing too much about yourself that could potentially give her possible hooks to get back at you. So yeah, this is a very simple one: diplomacy and respect.